guys, welcome back to Ashar Books. So today I'm going to be doing my Q&A. I mentioned in my giveaway video that if you guys had any questions, I was going to do a Q&A, and I did get a decent amount of questions between here and Instagram where I also asked. So that's what we're going to do today. So I did split these into two parts, so just the book related ones and then the slightly more personal ones. So we'll go ahead and get started. First question was, what was the most influential book in your life? This is a hard question. I feel like I really gave this some thought because I don't know which way I wanted to go with this, but I think I've decided I'm gonna go with two. One would be Little Women, just because I love that story. I love the story, I love the movies. It's one of my mom's favorites, so I feel like we kind of like always loved it together. I also love collecting like vintage copies of Little Women, so that's kind of a way it's special. And then the other book is The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simmons. I know not everyone loves that book, but it definitely has some problematic elements. But I feel like that was the first book that I read that was really more of like an adult, like historical fiction, historical romance, and it kind of broadened my horizons and showed me that there was more. Up until that point, I had kind of been reading mostly YA, which is also fabulous, but I love the Bronze Horseman series, and for a long time it was my favorite series. It's still up there with one of my favorites, and it was just such a good series that kind of showed me like, oh, there's this thing called historical fiction. So I'd say that was kind of influential just with my reading habits. Another question was, what was your favorite book growing up? So for this, I probably have to go with two series. One would be Babysitter's Club. I love Babysitter's Club. I don't know a specific book in the Babysitter's Club because they kind of all mesh together in my brain, but I love that series. And then also, I've mentioned this before, but I love the Little House on the Prairie series by Laura Ingalls Wilder. I don't actually own any of those because I think they're ones I always seem to get from the library, but there are ones I always kept like checking out again and again from the library. There was a couple of books I think I had on repeat. I should have probably just bought at that point, but I loved that series, loved the TV show. So I don't know from when I was very tiny what my favorite was, but from slightly older, those two are my faves. So then we had a couple questions about historical romance, which I love because I love historical romance, and I'm glad that you guys love it as well. So one of the questions was, who is your favorite historical romance author? I'm gonna have to go with, probably not as a surprise to anybody, but Lisa Kleypas and Julia Quinn. They're just the two authors. There are so many fabulous historical romance authors that I've loved, but those two, I feel like everything I've read from them has been a win. It's been either a 4 or 5 star for the most part, and also Lisa Kleypas is the first historical romance author I read, so I feel like she has like a very special place in my heart, so I'd have to go with those two as my all-time favorites, but like I said, there are many, many others out there. So another question was, what books do you recommend for people who are trying to like get into historical romance? Which I appreciate this question because when I was trying to get into it, I felt so intimidated by historical romance because the covers are sometimes a little cringy. There are so many books out there, so many authors, and it's hard to know where the heck to start. So I always recommend the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn, or really just Julia Quinn in general. I think Julia Quinn's a great place to start because her books are really funny and they're a lot of times lighthearted. Now they do care, a lot of them do have obviously some very serious stuff as well, but for the most part, I just think they're hilarious. And so I think having a book that's funny can kind of be like a gateway into historical romance rather than kind of diving in headfirst into something really, really like dark. If you're not ready to commit to the Bridgertons, because I know that's a really big series, I always recommend trying the Smythe Smith Quartet from Julia Quinn. I know it technically comes after the Bridgertons, but I really think you'd be okay reading it first. And they are absolutely hilarious and they're really lighthearted and fun. I think it's a great place to start. I had my best friend read Julia Quinn and she loved it, so I think it's a good place to start. The other author I think would be a good place to start would be Tessa Dare. Tessa Dare has a really kind of approachable writing style to me, and it is a great blend of being modern while also still being historical in a way that if you're not completely comfortable with some of the kind of older school romances and some of the maybe like problematic things that can sometimes pop up, she does a great job of kind of modernizing a lot of those things. So try Tessa Dare as well. Another question was, what are some of your favorite historical romance books? Wow, we could be here forever, but just to keep it short and sweet, obviously I love the Bridgertons. I feel like I'm a broken record, but they're so good. And yes, I am very, very excited for the Netflix TV show. I love the casting choices. I'm a little nervous just with, you know, anytime something you love is being brought to like TV, it's a little nerve-wracking, but I think it's in good hands. I love, like I said, I love the casting and I'm very excited. So I love the Bridgertons. From Kleypas, I love The Wallflowers. That's the first series I read. And then also I love Lisa Kleypas's Ravenel series. I think one of my favorites is Marrying Winterbourne. That is a great book. I loved it so stinking much. Also recently I've loved Joanna Shupe's books. If you're looking for something a little bit different, her books, she has the 400 series by Joanna Shupe, and they take place in Gilded Age New York, so kind of late 1800s, early 1900s, and so it's a little bit different than like Regency, and I just think they're great. Her characters are like spot on. I love that it's a little bit unique, so those are great as well. Another question was, what do you like most about being a booktuber? Honestly, it's getting to talk to all of you guys about books and getting to share recommendations. The best feeling in the world is being able to recommend something that I've loved and then having somebody read it and really enjoy it as well. If you guys ever pick something up and you like message me that you loved it and read it, that is the best feeling ever. So if you ever read anything that I suggest, let me know, because I love it when I can recommend something and it becomes someone's favorite book. That's just really fun. On a personal note, creating this channel also helps me really gain confidence like in my own life. I've been a pretty introverted person and I still am. For some reason, talking to a camera and then uploading it has just really been a way to kind of come out of my shell a little bit more, and I just feel a lot more confident in general than I feel like I did a couple of years ago, and I really think this channel has helped. All right, so now a couple questions that are just a little bit more about me. So the first question was, do you have your own house or apartment? And I do. I have my own apartment, and I don't have a roommate. I do live alone, which I actually really like. I lived with my best friend for years, and that was amazing. So I feel like after living with a best friend, it's hard to go to another roommate. So I love it. I have all the book space I want. And these are actually built-in bookshelves that came with the apartment, which is pretty rare to find in an apartment. So I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that, this was a selling point for the place because none of the other ones I looked at had it. So I really love these and I'm really lucky to have them. So another question was, what do you do for work? I am a speech language pathologist and I work in an elementary school and I get to work with kids every day and I love my job. It's a great job and it's just so much fun and I love what I do. So the next question was, do you have any pets? Yes, I have one cat named Dinah, who you might have just heard a second ago. I might be able to edit it out, but she is over there and she is being very vocal today. But yes, total lover of cats. I'm a huge cat mom. I love dogs too, but right now I'm just a cat mom. Also, I'm very sorry if the angle is slightly different, but my camera shut off. So anyways, the next question was, what is your favorite non-bookish hobby? And I don't know if I have one. I feel like I do like crafty DIY stuff, so maybe that. I'm also a really big history nerd, so I love like finding new locations around me to explore. But I'd say that reading and booktube are probably my biggest hobby, but I don't know, maybe I need to find a different hobby. Anyone have any suggestions? But yeah. The last question is, what is your favorite food? Which is a great question to end on. If we're going food, I'd probably say either French fries or Mexican and guacamole. I would eat that for every single meal if I could without having some kind of health problem. If we're talking dessert, then chocolate. Always chocolate. I love chocolate. I'm a chocoholic. Definitely my favorite dessert food. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up my Q&A. Thank you to everybody who submitted a question. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you got to know me a little bit better. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.